welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to plunge into stories that are, well, fascinating, unexpected, sometimes downright mysterious. Today, we're tackling this really captivating cosmic puzzle. It kicks off with a desperate distress call, but it ends up connecting to a historical tragedy, one you might even recognize from old folklore. Our source for this deep dive is a narrative called The Children of Hamlin, Carmen Carter.pdf. And our mission really is to unravel the layers here. There's a crisis on a starship, hidden agendas, some surprising alliances, and, these profound human and alien elements all tangled up together.
Exactly. Picture this. The USS Enterprise, it's supposed to be routine space travel, but they've got this pretty unique group of passengers on board. Then, bang, a distress signal comes in. Totally unexpected, pulls them way off course, and suddenly they're face to face with this really enigmatic alien species. And what becomes clear fast is that this crisis, it's tied to a mystery that's decades old. The implications are huge, way beyond just this one ship.
Okay, let's start at the beginning then. The narrative opens late one night. You've got Captain Picard and Dr. Crusher having this quiet, almost philosophical chat on the bridge. Crusher's got this great dry wit. She says something like, "I'm a doctor. We're always awake when almost everyone else is asleep," explaining why she's there. And Picard, well, he's instantly concerned about the medical call that brought her up. It shows how much he cares about his crew right from the get-go.
Yeah, it's skillful writing because right away you get multiple character arcs starting. You see Picard's leadership style, thoughtful, concerned, and Crusher, she's sharp, empathetic, clearly the doctor, and you already feel this subtle tension around the new passengers. It sets a really rich stage before the main action even starts.
Right, and these passengers, they're called the Oregon Farmers, a community that's very suspicious of modern tech. But then there's this kid, Themis. He's a young farmer, but he's described as unusually fascinated by starship technology, which is, the exact opposite of his community's views. What does that tell us, that contradiction right at the start?
Well, it immediately signals conflict within the farmer group itself, doesn't it? I mean, These are people who insisted on taking shuttlecrafts up to the Enterprise. Why? To avoid the transporters. They settled on this terraformed world, New Oregon, specifically to get away from advanced machinery. But Dennis, he's clearly a rebel, drawn to the very things his people reject. It definitely foreshadows that tension between tradition and, well, progress.
And this tension leads to some rule breaking. Wesley Crusher, the young ensign, he sets up this secret meeting with Denny's down on Deck 21. They're going to explore the ship. And Denny's just casually mentions he's been severely reprimanded, even whipped before by his community for doing similar things. You picture him in his traditional farmer clothes, faded blue pants, patchwork wool shirt.
Yeah, and Wesley's in his crisp cadet uniform. It's a great visual contrast.
Totally. But their little tour gets cut short. Warp speed suddenly jumps, and that's when the first distress signal comes in from the USS Farrell.
And the Enterprise response is textbook Starfleet, really. Swift, disciplined, Riker diverts course immediately, Picard's on the bridge in moments, yellow alert goes up, but then they see the Farrell, and it's caught in this translucent blue haze. The description is chilling an energy matrix that's contracting like a fist. You know right away this isn't just any threat, it's something alien powerful.
Yeah. And that energy matrix is key to what happens next.
Yeah.
A devastating first contact. We actually see the Farrell's destruction from inside. From Captain Deelor's perspective, it sounds terrifying. The screams of compressing metal plates, the ship just failing around him, and then this shocking detail. He fires his phaser at his own crew. To stop them initiating self-destruct, the text says he regrets the failure more than, dying.
Wow.
Then the Choraii appear, just described as a cluster of spheres, no real features. Phasers don't seem to affect them much. And they trap the Enterprise's saucer section in that same energy net.
Analyzing the Choraii is fascinating here. They're described as this blend, organic and inorganic. And their main way of communicating, it's musical. Think about that. A culture that uses music, something we see as art, but they also wield this incredibly destructive energy weapon. It suggests their values are just fundamentally alien to ours. Maybe for them, art and conflict aren't separate. Or their idea of trade is something completely different. It throws up that classic Starfleet problem. How do you even begin to understand a species like that, whose core ideas seem so contradictory?
Exactly. And while all this is happening, Dr. Crusher is worried about the farmers. She flags that they might be experiencing major trauma during the red alert. It keeps that human element front and center. Then the captain calls a briefing. Riker, Data, Troy. And here's where another layer gets peeled back, a real twist. Turns out Andrew Deelor, the captain from the Ferrell, identified by Riker as just an efficiency consultant.
Right, an efficiency consultant on a starship bridge during its destruction.
Right. He's not officially listed as crew on the Ferrell.
Uh-huh.
And even stranger, he and another survivor, D'Amelio, they suspect they're faking weakness.
Okay, so deception. Right away. That adds a whole new dimension. And you see Picard's reaction. He's outraged at the idea of trade for human lives. He asks, trade for what? What could they possibly have that we want? Which contrasts so sharply with Deelor, who's just calmly talking about his mission. Persuade the Choraii into trade negotiations. For what? Zinc, gold, platinum, lead.
Basic materials.
Yeah, it feels off. The narrative forces you onto that ethical tightrope Starfleet walks, especially when you later find out the Romulans are also after the Choraii's advanced star drive tech. It's a huge challenge to Federation principles.
And that's when the puzzle pieces really start to slam together. Deelor, under pressure from Picard, he finally admits Ruthe as a translator, and then he drops the bombshell. They are seeking the Children of Hamlin.
Boom. The title of the source.
Exactly. It connects directly to the title and hints at this much larger, darker history.
Yeah.
The Hamlin Massacre.
And learning about the Hamlin survivors, that reveals a really deep ethical problem baked into Federation policy itself. Rescue is the rule, right? Recover everyone. But the source says for the adults, they recovered. It was tragic. Catatonia, death, only the very young children adapted. So the insight there is profound. Rescue isn't always good. Sometimes, even with the best intentions, jumping in can actually cause more suffering. Makes you question what doing good really means in complex situations.
That's a heavy point. Let's talk about Ruthe then, the translator. She's so central to this mysterious connection to the Choraii. She uses flute music to communicate with them. Haunting music. But then, surprise, the Choraii can actually speak Federation standard. They just think it's an ugly, clumsy language.
Charming.
Right. And Troi, the ship's empath, she senses Ruthe is just. Empty, devoid of all feeling. Completely detached, it seems.
What a contrast, though. A species communicating with beautiful music finds our language ugly, and the translator seems emotionally void, yet she's the only bridge. It highlights the huge gulf between the cultures. Ruthe herself becomes this embodiment of that disconnect, and maybe the potential connection, too.
Meanwhile, you've got all this high-stakes drama, potential war, ethical crises, and then there's this wonderfully quirky detail. The Enterprise crew basically creates a virtual farm on the holodeck for the Oregon farmers' livestock.
Yeah. It's almost funny, isn't it?
It is. But Thomas, one of the farmers, he hates it, calls it cheap theatrics, illusion.
Which is perfect. It shows Starfleet's knack for, problem solving no matter what, even if the problem is needing digital pasture. But it also brilliantly contrasts with the farmers' resistance to that very tech. We learn more about their history, too. They were wanderers, nomads, whose community and stuff got smaller each time they moved. It really emphasizes their distrust of anything not real, their connection to actual land. Even their stasis chambers for animal embryos are described as old-fashioned. They only use tech when they absolutely have to.
And while this is going on, Wesley's still worried about Denys and his family. He goes on this secret mission, basically, to help Denys understand starship tech. Gives him engineering books.
A little act of rebellion feeding another.
Yeah. And Dr. Crusher, she's getting more and more concerned about the adult Hamlin captives, the ones recovered earlier. And she's frustrated because Deelor is being secretive about their medical records.
And that secrecy ties into Deelor's big reveal, doesn't it? The star drive. The real mission wasn't just recovering Hamlin survivors or negotiating for minerals. It was about getting the Choraii's advanced star drive technology, something even the Romulans want.
Puts Picard in a terrible bind.
Absolutely. Balancing Starfleet's drive for knowledge against the lives of his crew, the captives. It's that classic Starfleet tension. Exploration versus ethics. Knowledge versus life.
And that dilemma just cranks up to 11. They get the news. New Oregon, the farmer's new home, destroyed by a Choraii ship. The news is just devastating for Patricia, Denys' mother. She learns her daughter, Karen, is dead. And the gut punch. Karen's daughter, Emily. 4 soon to be. She was on the planet, too.
Oh, man. But destruction of New Oregon just skyrockets the stakes. It's not about old history anymore. It's about immediate rescue. It shows the Choraii aren't just mysterious. They're actively destructive, a present danger.
And then Ruthe. She completely changes, goes from this detached translator to this passionate advocate. She confirms it with real urgency. The Choraii have her, meaning Emily. And Picard makes this incredibly bold move. It's rare, but he separates the Enterprise, takes the star drive section, leaves the saucer behind to pursue the Choraii immediately.
That's huge.
It's not just tactics. It shows the mission is totally shifted. It's desperate now. And it shows Picard's personal commitment to saving that child.
That move by Picard, yeah, it's a massive turning point.
Wow.
It throws the focus entirely onto rescue, away from the tech grab. It really speaks to his moral core. So then comes the second rendezvous with the Choraii. Tense doesn't even cover it. They demand silver for Emily.
Silver connects back to Patricia's son-in-law, right?
Yeah.
The silversmith who was lost.
That detail. And the exchange happens fast. And here's the surprise. Emily is returned. She's safe. But maybe even more surprising, Ruthe chooses to stay with the Choraii.
Whoa.
Yeah. Revealing her true allegiance, her origin. She was born on a Choraii ship, taken by humans when she was a child. She's one of them.
That reveal about Ruthe.
Oh.
Wow. It just flips everything we thought about her.
Yeah.
About the whole Children of Hamlin story.
And the moral ambiguity just gets thicker, doesn't it?
Emily's saved, yes. And the Federation got some classified intel, that vocoder recording.
Yeah, the one capturing the Feral's last moments, plus data on the Choraii drive. Valuable stuff.
But they still basically engaged in a trade, a barter, for a human life. It feels very questionable.
It really makes you think, when does diplomacy under pressure cross into being complicit, even if the outcome seems good for some? And the human cost hits the crew, too. Tasha Yar, security chief, she has this terrifying experience in the Choraii ship's atmosphere. It's liquid and laced with some kind of narcotic, smells like cinnamon.
Sounds nightmare.
And Dr. Crusher, she's just in despair over Jason, the adult captive they retrieved. He's catatonic. She has this heartbreaking realization. Only children have an amazing ability to adapt. She even tries recreating the Choraii environment on the holodeck for him, but it's not enough. It can't bring him back.
Her frustration, her sadness.
Yeah.
It shows the limits, right? Medical science can't fix everything, especially not this kind of deep cultural physiological shock. Jason's inability to adapt is such a stark contrast to Ruthe, who lived in both worlds, and to little Emily's resilience. Adaptability isn't universal, especially across species, across environments that different.
Definitely. And then finally, we see these unexpected futures taking shape. Denny's the farmer boy who was so curious about tech. He makes this really poignant choice. He decides to stay on the damaged New Oregon to help rebuild the terraforming station, using those engineering books Wesley gave him.
He doesn't leave, he stays.
Stays. Instead of seeking a new life somewhere else, it's genuinely surprising. Denny's, the kid who chafed against his community's anti-tech views, finds his purpose using that tech, but using it to rebuild their home. Embracing hard labor, as the text says, to make New Oregon viable again. It's a powerful statement about adaptation and identity, finding a path that blends tradition and the future.
It really is. We see so many kinds of adaptation in this story. The Choraii ship itself being organic, Ruthe bridging two worlds, Jason's tragic failure to adapt, and then Johnny's choosing to build a future on a broken world, mixing his roots with new knowledge. It really hammers home how tied together environment and identity are, and how powerful the choice of home can be.
So, yeah, we started this deep dive with just a distress call, right? A mystery. And we ended up deep in interstellar politics, personal sacrifices, the hidden costs of first contact, of exploration. And while Emily is safe and some truths came out, it leaves you with a lot of unresolved feelings. For the characters, definitely. That deep dive shows truth is rarely simple. Good intentions, they can have consequences you never saw coming.
Makes you think, doesn't it? As you go about your day, maybe consider, in this huge universe, what actually defines home for you, and what price are we, or should we be, willing to pay to protect it, or maybe to escape it? We hope you'll reflect on all these different angles we looked at today. The weight of leadership, how secrets work, and just the incredible resilience people show when they're caught between worlds. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.